At any rate, I came here to talk about the Taylor Townsend-Jelena Ostapenko altercation that took place, which happened at the U.S. Open. We all saw the footage by now. You have Taylor Townsend, excuse me, and Jelena getting into it after their second round matchup in which Taylor won in straight sets. And Jelena Ostapenko seemed to be quite upset. And afterwards, when Taylor Townsend was asked about what was said to her by Jelena Ostapenko, she said that Jelena Ostapenko called her uneducated and classless. Now, this is all based off, I will be the first to be very clear here. I've only covered tennis a couple of times. I don't profess to be a tennis expert. I don't know about the decorum of the game other than maybe some basic things that you see on the court. But Jelena Ostapenko took some issue with how Taylor Townsend warmed up on the court. She warmed up by volleying. Apparently, that's a big no-no. She was supposed to warm up on the baseline. This is before the match even began, which all to me sounded like some bullshit. She was really mad that she got her ass whooped. All right. Like, Taylor Townsend is the number one ranked doubles player. But when it comes to just the regular singles ranking, she's ranked, I believe, 139th in the world. And from what my understanding is, that no player that has been seated at that point, or seated that, I guess, low, if you will, has ever beaten a former slam champion. So there was, or rather in singles, I should say, like, she's the lowest. Taylor Townsend is the lowest ranked American woman to beat a past Grand Slam champion in singles at a major. It hasn't happened in quite some time. So there was a lot of reasons why Jelena Ostapenko was in her feelings. But let's address what she said when she said that Taylor Townsend was classless and not educated. And here's the thing, and we all know this as Black people and especially as Black women, that there is a huge stereotype about our intelligence. And this is something that did not just start in 2025. This is something that we have had to deal with throughout our history as a people in this country. It was used as a way to justify the treatment of us, because the thing is, the more you make it seem like we're not like everybody else, that we're not as educated, that we can't behave a certain way, that we are outside what is the human rules of decorum, the easier it is to dehumanize us, the easier it is to justify any treatment of us whatsoever. And so, even though Jelena Ostapenko, I saw her Instagram message where she said that she has never been racist and all this. The reason I don't believe her is because when you use the word uneducated, like, it would have been one thing if when the match ended, she was sore about it and in her feelings. It would have been one thing if she had said, calling her classless. Okay, at best, I'll call it neutral, right? But if she would have said something that athletes tend to say in the heat of competition, then maybe you give her the benefit of the doubt. Because certainly I've seen athletes who haven't lost with class before. And typically they degrade their opponent by saying, oh, they weren't that good. It was just that I made mistakes, things like that. Then you could say, okay, all right, that's just some of the crazy things that people say when they lose and they're upset about their loss. But when you call somebody uneducated, especially a Black woman, uneducated, then whatever little inner racist you didn't think you had came springing to life. Like, I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I've been mad plenty of times against people, mad at people who were of a different ethnicity or even a different gender. I've been mad plenty of times, and it has nothing to do with race or gender. But what never comes out of my mouth usually is something that would be considered or perceived racist. So it's kind of like how they say a drunk person speaks a sober person's words. This is the same thing. See, because in the heat of conflict and battle, you can tell a lot about what people really think about you. And the fact that she went to the uneducated part of this let me know that deep down, she does have a problem, not just with Taylor Townsend, but she is harboring some level of bigotry or racism toward Black folks. And all the people who are saying, like, it has nothing to do with race, it was about in the heat of a competition. Again, I'm asking you, where did uneducated come from? Because that's a very specific insult. You know who uses that insult quite a bit, especially when it comes to talking about black women? Donald Trump uses that insult quite a bit, calling black women. He's called Jasmine Crockett uneducated. There's a number of black women. He's called Maxine Waters uneducated. So this whole idea that this was just about the heat of the competition, I think it's a little bit more to it than that. Again, everybody doesn't win with class. Everybody isn't able to handle a loss. And Taylor Townsend told her right after the match when she said, "You need to learn how to lose," and it's true, she does. And I'm willing to give a lot of athletes a little bit of grace when they're emotional after losing. But I can't give much grace for this because I think this is directly tied to something that's bigger and deeper. Now, we've all watched Serena and Venus Williams throughout their careers. They faced a lot of macro and micro aggressions in the world of tennis. And a lot of it had to do with who they were, who they presented themselves to be, being confident black women. I mean, I don't think they figured out really how to cover Serena Williams or Venus her entire career, but especially Serena, who the number of racist incidents that she faced while she was competing, I mean, it's just too many to list, to how she was portrayed in, political cartoons, to what was said about her, to the fact that generally it was interesting to me a lot of times the pictures people used of Serena trying to make her look as aggressive as they possibly can. And so, this particular insult really, it rubbed me the wrong way. And I think there's a lot of people who are understandably looking at Jelena Ostapenko real sideways because her comments are looking real funny in the light. To me, this isn't just about her losing and being upset. It's about the fact that she lost and is upset and went to one of the most go-to stereotypical insults that people say about black people, which means you knew what the hell you was doing when you said it. And she knew exactly the kind of dog whistle she was trying to blow when she said that. And so because of that, it is a little hard to give her the benefit of the doubt in this moment. But I tell you what, I like the way that Taylor Townsend, I like the way she handled this. And I'm not surprised. And if any of you have checked out my podcast, Politics, before, then you know that I've had Taylor on as a guest. And she was one of the most popular podcasts that I did. So I encourage you guys to go back and listen to it, because given the type of person that Taylor Townsend has presented herself to be, she's been through a lot as a player. I mean, she's faced a lot of bullying, a lot of criticism about her weight, about her play, about a lot of things. And so if anybody can weather somebody insulting them, it's Taylor Townsend, because she just built differently. And the way she handled that, I get it. Like, a lot of us have had to deal with these micro and macro aggressions. And the whole turn the other cheek narrative sometimes gets a little tiresome, because the people who are insulted, and even especially when it comes to race and or gender, then it becomes your burden, even though you didn't say it, but people put the pressure on you to forgive the other person as if you owe them something. Like, you don't owe them anything. You don't owe them grace. You don't owe them respect. You don't owe them forgiveness. But it's always our responsibility to give it to them. And I've always found that dynamic to be extremely unfair. And so, but Taylor Townsend, again, I'll give Taylor a lot of credit, because, you say that kind of thing to somebody after a match and it could go all kind of sideways. And I'm not suggesting that that should have been the response, but there's a lot of players where that would have ended far worse than it actually did. And so the fact that she said she let her racket do the talking and then named off the other countries, because old girl Jelena tried to say that she tried to make it seem as if that Taylor was acting all big and bad because it's at the US Open, it's in America. Obviously Taylor is an American. And then Taylor proceeded to name the countries of which she done whoop old girl's ass. So she like, I didn't beat your ass in the States. I didn't beat your ass outside the States. So what do you want to do? The grace in which Taylor handled it is like, sometimes you can cut people up in a professional way. I mean, she hit her with the per my last email. kind of response. And I really, my respect for Taylor Townsend really grew even greater seeing that. Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high. But I know there are a lot of times when they go low, you want to take it to hell. Sometimes I'm that way too. So for her to have composed herself in that moment, and even, how she was in the press conference afterwards, I thought it spoke very well to Taylor's. I thought it spoke very well to her character, and not only that, it made Jelena Ostapenko look worse because of the way that Taylor Townsend responded. So anyway, I just popped in to give you a few thoughts on that. And as before I even started this live, I'm sure you guys have seen the news. Micah Parsons got traded like literally right before I started this. I was like, oh, snap. So if you haven't heard, Micah Parsons was traded to the Green Bay Packers from the Dallas Cowboys. And I have to say this, I never expected that this would end up this way. Call me ridiculous, but I was one of those who believed that, okay, we know Jerry Jones loves a good show. We know that he he loves the Cowboys being discussed nonstop. He sees being owner of the Cowboys as partly being in the theater business. Like, he feels like he is a showman, and his job is to sell the Cowboys at all costs. Right. And so I thought, like, okay, so he's just trying to create some training camp headlines. This will be over and done with. By the time the season starts, he will have signed Micah Parsons. Water under the bridge. Cowboys get off to their season. Blah, 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 blah. They'll head off to disappointing their fans as usual. Yeah, I had to get that one in. So they actually traded Micah Parsons. Now, I'm coming to you. I don't know what they traded him for, but I know a lot of Cowboys fans, and I certainly see them across social media. Their frustrations because, they obviously haven't seriously competed for a Super Bowl in some time. But the way this unfolded feels like one of the all-time great NFL fumbles of all time. Again, I don't know exactly what the Cowboys traded him for. And so this just feels like one of those moves where I don't know if this is going to be one of those where both teams got out of it what they needed to. Like, I'll give you an example. The Lions and the Rams, right? When they essentially swapped and Jared Goff goes to the Lions, Matt Stafford goes to the Rams. Rams win a Super Bowl. You see where the Lions are right now. Granted, they didn't get to the Super Bowl. They got to the NFC Championship. But I think that's a situation where the trade was kind of good for both teams. Okay, I see you guys in the chat where you said two first rounds. I mean, look, Micah Parsons, is a top 3 defensive player in the league. But I don't honestly, unless maybe this was Jerry Jones's big plan all along, that he wanted to create a spectacle around something he planned to do anyway, because he didn't ultimately want to pay Micah Parsons. Maybe that's what it was. But if you're the Cowboys and you're in the situation that you're in, is this a move that you can afford to make right now? And especially the manner in which he did it, because my sense was, and this is just based off how some of the players were commenting, it's like, I think Jerry Jones actually lost a lot of respect in the Cowboys locker room. He tried to make it seem like him and Micah Parsons had some handshake deal that Micah didn't stick to. And just like the back and forth, even for the showman that is Jerry Jones, I thought this was very unbecoming of somebody who considers themselves, a leader among owners, if you will. And, if you're another player on that team, or for that matter, another player looking at the Cowboys across the league, I realize that people are not in the business of turning down NFL jobs. But like, I got to be honest, why would you go to the Cowboys? Like, what? Seeing this is, to me, going to leave a bad taste in a lot of players' mouth when it comes to looking at the reputation of the Dallas Cowboys. Because, the way that sometimes it's not what you do, but how you do it. And the way that it felt like he was denigrating Micah Parsons. And again, this could have all been part of his master plan and strategy to try to increase trade interest, or, again, wanting what he always wants, which is more headlines, more drama. I mean, hell, if the Cowboys, if the Super Bowl was based off drama and based off storylines and based off nothing to do with football, Dallas would be perennial Super Bowl champions or contenders every year. But that's not what winning a Super Bowl is all about. And so if you're a Cowboys fan right now, you got to feel frustrated. And then you have to ask yourself, are you closer or further away from a Super Bowl than you were before this trade happens? I guess only time will tell. 2 first-round picks, not gonna lie, that's a pretty big premium in the NFL. Obviously, depending on what you do with them. But when you look at the fact that a lot of Dak Prescott's career in Dallas has been somewhat wasted, I think he's due to make $50-60 million this year. It's like, I don't know where the Cowboys go from here or where they think they're going from here. But I do know it probably doesn't help when you trade one of your best players. Probably not good for the locker room. Probably not good for a lot of things, but I guess time will tell. But anyway, just wanted to jump on here and share some quick thoughts. Mostly I wanted to talk about, what happened with Taylor Townsend and, really liked how she handled that situation. But this has been quite a sports day already. So I'm sure y'all will keep chatting about Dallas and Micah Parsons as Jerry Jones once again does his favorite thing, and that is own the news cycle. So we'll see whether or not the haul was worth it. But in the meantime, hang in there, Cowboys fans, because it looks like it's going to be quite a season. And I'll check y'all out later.